So I'm with TGen. I'll just say that yesterday, listening to Lisa talk about Buena and Jessica talk about Brooke, it made me realize how, this is weird, I don't know what to say, but I've got a daughter who's a year younger than Melina would have been, and just a son. And I assume Jessica's probably from somewhere around the King Ranch area in Texas. I've driven through the King Ranch on my way to South Padre Island for spring break from Houston before, so there's, I just know that we're all so connected, right, as parents and families, and there's so many things that tie us together. So that's kind of unplanned part of my presentation. So at TGen, as part of the project with Dell, Spiro Mooses had this kind of vision to develop a portal or a software package that enables the tumor boards that participate in these studies to more efficiently process the data and the information and come to a treatment recommendation. In other words, find a better process than what we have now, which is kind of emailing stuff around and using WebEx and things like that. So that's what we started development of our portal with. The idea was that we would try to improve the process around the tumor portal. And so we have a couple of our developers here, Preston Lee and Eric Harrison. And Preston is really great at working with Spiro to kind of come up with a vision, and then Eric's really great at kind of tying all the nuts and bolts together on this. And we've got a table set up outside with actual live demos of our portal that we've developed. So I'll just kind of explain the features that we've got in here, kind of what our goals are, and then I encourage you to come out and check it out when you get a few minutes outside. So the primary tool within our tumor board portal is what we call a Luma box. It's like a light box application where you can drop files, images, PowerPoints, PDFs, that sort of stuff, and you can present them in a collaborative environment so that everybody can just log on to the web page and they see the data there. We've got a way that you can select a study and a patient when you log into the portal. So if you're a member of a molecular team like Dr. Hellman that participates in multiple studies, you can actually access patient information or the tumor board information for a patient in multiple studies in here. We control access with IDs and passwords. And so the last bullet point is the researcher might have access to across multiple studies. A clinician may have access into a single study. So when you log in, you select a patient. You can actually add files into our portal. We kind of focused on image files to start with because of kind of the lightbox correlation, though. You can also you can take a PowerPoint and translate it to a PDF, drop it in there, and then paginate it through the PDF and present it, annotate it, mark it up, and highlight it live from the tumor board, which we thought would be a real helpful way to present the information around it. So this is kind of an example of a fully loaded LumaBox portal here. So we got a bunch of image files from the internet and like a published paper and dropped in there. You can take these images, resize them. We've got annotation toolbars so you can highlight with arrows in there, circled areas of interest. I saw during some of the presentations yesterday, we were highlighting how tumor size changes over the course of treatment. You can put those images up and highlight that in a tumor board meeting if you want to talk about the results of the treatment. You can annotate and then search back through your annotations later for information related to that specific patient. We've got a forums portal. So the forums is kind of a discussion page, and so right now we're aiming it towards the clinicians and the researchers that participate in the tumor board, and basically you can start a topic of discussion in there, post replies, and then search back through them. That is, right now, that's set to a study level. So in other words, all your discussions around that study would be in the forums here. You can have them be public discussions among the whole group, or you can actually do a private discussion between you and another participant in the tumor board. Bookmarks is a way to post links to a general website or to a specific published article if you want. Within bookmarks, you can actually go and rate the links that we have in there. And so you kind of see on the left-hand side here, it'll actually give us a rating based on the relevance, the actionability of the item, and whether it's too long, too short. Gives you a way to post information very quickly related to the study. Okay? So we talked about kind of where we want to go with the future state. And we come to these meetings and we hear everybody talking about, what do we need, what's the roadblock holding us up here? And we come out of it with about 1 million ideas. It's one of the great things about working at TGen is to be exposed to people that are just absolutely brilliant. And by correlation, the other clinicians and researchers that are involved in projects like this. So what we want to come up with is something that gives us, when you log in, you can have a calendar of events, so you can see the upcoming tumor boards, you can see your trial progress, any links, like from our links page, we want to put a little shortcut there. And then at TGen, we think about, what's the sequence of processing that sample through our sequencer, right? So we do RNA sequencing, Dr. Holman's lab. And we thought, it'd be a great idea to capture the status of those samples as they go through the lab. So if you're a tumor board portal member, you can go in and you can see that patient 1 is through the first 3 steps of processing, and patient 4 is about ready. That patient's going to be coming up for the next tumor board meeting. And you can see the calendar entry over here. We want to change around the way we present the data around the patient a little bit, but this is kind of, and these are mock-ups that we've got. So Eric actually came up with these mock-ups after we sat in the morning sessions yesterday, based on what we were hearing, like, this would be a great way to present the information. But, we want to have, the end goal of this is to be able to tie the workflows into this as well. So your clinical workflow that leads to the presentation files, the molecular workflow that leads to the analysis files, and then the tumor board meeting happens in the same space. So we actually start compiling that information. We compile the treatment and the outcomes data, so that as you progress through a trial, you can actually go back, start looking at graphs of that data, go back and look at patient 2 and see how it correlates to patient 12, those sort of things. While you're in the tumor board, or even outside the tumor board meeting, you can go to the site, look back at the data from that patient. We think it gives a real nice reference to, a perspective in the trial that you might not get if the data is not in one spot. So that's kind of what we're working on. I'm trying to keep it kind of short to help us get back on track here, but I would encourage anybody who's interested in looking at this to go out and check out our demos. We've actually got a live, it's a web-based application. We've got a live portal into one of our application settings out there. I'll say thank you to our team. We were in an executive research session last night at one place. Spiro is kind of our TGen scientific sponsor. Eric's our lead developer. Preston Lee's our architect. Chris Hughes, our project executive. These guys are all in the back row there. Giselle and Genevieve, without their input and feedback, we couldn't develop a tool that works correctly for your purposes here. And Matt and Jason from the scientific side are invaluable for input to us there as well.